Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm going to stop it at 3 times. Or good morning, right? Like I had to go to 4. Couldn't help myself. So happy Monday. Hope everyone's doing like seriously amazing. Let's see, all really good stuff. I don't like I always come out and say the same thing, right? Like a couple things, all really good stuff. And I find that every time I say that, it's like, Anthony, is that by no, everything's always really good stuff. And that's the fun journey of Rhino, right? Like everyone's happy. So let's kind of get into it. So first, well, where do I want to start? All right, so I think I said on Saturday, which I'm going to share with you again today. So the ChatGPT integration, which took a lot of approvals and stuff like that, is implemented. Now it's not, well, it's functional. It's not live yet, right? Because now we need the whole week to style things, clean things up, get this code over here, get this code over there. But in terms of just functionally working, we did it. And the really cool part about that is, and I said Saturday, and I also said in the email today, well, while we were playing with it, I was like, all right, how do you make pizza? And it responded within 5 seconds with like 7 steps, with the first one starting preheat your oven to 220 Celsius or 425 Fahrenheit, right? Like that's really cool. So to be able to have a search engine that is local, it's purely local search engine. Yeah, Frida, I'll take a look at it. Purely local search engine, 20-mile radius from the user's location, anywhere in the world. But the difficulty always was, well, what about that other stuff? What about music lyrics and what's Einstein's middle name or who won the Grammy in 2001? Like stuff that people search for, like when you're thinking, you're just like, oh, I got a question, beep, 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 beep. And that's something we couldn't have. And there was no way to solve it. Because the amount of data that Google has it's like in the bazillion terabytes, and terabytes is like a trillion something, right? Like it's a lot. And they have server over server and server, because the way Google works is before the AI technology came out, which it's still in its infancy, but the way it was done back in the day, right, like 10 years ago, was you had to go ahead and index. And what that means is, so Google would go ahead and take a look at a page, and they would identify keywords, and each one of those keywords would be put in an index, right? So maybe the page said cake. So in Google's indexing of cake, that was one of the pages that came up. And then maybe the page said strawberry. Okay, well, in their indexing of strawberry, that came up. And when you take that and multiply it by a bazillion, you then understand that when you type something into Google, like how do you make strawberry cake, in microseconds, it's filtering all those different indexes all the way down to the one page that's most relevant, and that's how they show it to you. But as you can imagine, the computer power to do that, and I'm not saying awesome to sound cool, but it's awesome. It's insane. So they have server upon server upon server upon server, which is actually kind of like an unscalable system, because the larger the internet gets, what are you going to do? Just keep getting servers? There's always going to be something. You always have to keep growing if you're Google. What AI effectively did was, and I don't even begin to know how to explain it, right? But it has, so you got to go into quantum computing, right? So quantum physics, not to get too crazy into this, right? So atoms are either electron or proton, right? They are one thing. In computer code, you have ones and zeros. It is one thing. In quantum computers, it's not one thing. It actually has the ability to make the decision which thing it wants to be. So in quantum computing, and quantum physics for that matter, when a computer code or a proton or whatever gets into a situation, it's actually able to make the decision to pick the best outcome. And how it does that is science beyond my comprehension, but that's the premise of it. The point being, it completely reinvents computers, because everything that had been going on, everything that had been coded and built, was all on the premise that these atoms or these computer bits make one decision. And that's fine. But now with the advent of the understanding quantum, you can build those ones and zeros to be very different. And now you don't need much of them because they make their own decisions. And now you have to effectively manage the decision-making process. So it's like a child, right? A child grows up and makes its own decisions, but you go ahead and manage their decisions. Hey, fire bad, food good. So then in the future, they then make that decision already knowing what was good and bad. That's quantum computer. That's AI. So AI is constantly evolving and learning. So when I was asked the other day, well, Chat GPT sounds amazing. Like, how are they just giving this to you for free? Why is it open source? It's actually costing them $3 million a day to allow this open source to be given to everyone. And the question is, it's not that again, nothing is free in life. Where are the testers, right? Because AI is a learned programming language, you have to have people all testing it and playing with it and saying, oh, I got this response, it was really good, or I got this response, it's bad, I want to report it. Because now it's constantly evolving. It's learning and learning and learning, and it's learning at a quantum speed. So by 2030, you'll be able to say, write me a doctorate level PhD report on, I don't know, grasshoppers. And you'll get like a 70-page because it's going to know how to do that. The point of, obviously I got into quantum for a reason, is we have that. Google does not. In fact, Google's model is primitive to what we have. And it's really funny to say that, but it's true. Like, for instance, your iPhone has more computer power than NASA did in 1970 when they landed a man on the moon, that one phone, because that's how far technology's come. Which kind of begs the question, if you have an iPhone and you're not sending people to the moon, like, what are you really doing, right? But the same can be said that our search engine with the ChatGPT function integrated into it is actually better than Google. It's more computer power. And I didn't think I'd be able to say that in any instance. Like, I've always said Google's going to be bigger and better for what they do, because we can't compete with them, because we were never going to build a business model that had that much investment and constant investment in terms of indexing. We were just sticking to local businesses and local communities because from our perspective, communities can self-regulate themselves. So we never needed to, our business model is not built to have a whole bunch of data anywhere, because communities self-police, right? So in any given zip code, you go ahead and type and you want to look up strawberries or something, right? Well, because the results are filtered to the 20-mile radius, there's never that many results that we have to have this awesome amount of computer power to go ahead and present you the results. Because we're not, because we never intended to compete on a global level with global companies doing global search, we effectively were able to keep everything really small and perfected. Yeah, we were able to keep things small and perfected. Like, okay, well, Anthony, what if this community, what if their cultures are different than someone else's? Fine. The only people that are going to see the results are the people within 20 miles. And the results all have your name on it. Like this company by this person. So if you want to be a pariah in your own community, God bless. The language in your community is your language. I never needed to go ahead I never needed to go ahead and combat language barriers. Like, for instance, I don't need a search engine that's in French in France. You know why? Because everyone in France speaks French. Their company's names are going to be in French. Their descriptions are going to be in French. Their keywords are going to be in French. The search engine is pretty much a mirror of that community, which has always been our value proposition from day one. And now it's just continuing to grow it. Which, on the conversation of growth, I've been actually quite underwhelmed this month with what our growth has been. And it goes to a couple of things, right? Like, I always have to be manning the ship. So there's so many different things that I'm always making sure go correctly. From, the bot is taking a little long, we're integrating the chat GPT, we're dealing with this team, we're working with that team, we're taking these calls, bop, 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 bop. And that's fine, right? Like, no one's saying, Anthony, wow, it's just, that's the business. That's the job I chose. The reason I say that is because if I'm not on the marketing side of it, our numbers are not growing the way I would like to see them grow organically. And that's what we're working with RVP. Like a lot of it's my fault. We're working on stuff. But I want the numbers moving. It's the fact that we go from 100 to 200 to 300, that's all great. And 300 to 350, that's all great too. Nothing wrong with that. But the belief is, or at least my belief in this type of business is, the more people that are involved, the more people there are to share with other people. So for instance, if you have one person involved, well, 1 to 2 is you have 100% growth, right? 2 to 3 is 50% growth. Because you don't have that many people, there's not the probability that the people within your community are going to be able to share with others is small, because there's only 2 people in your community. Meaning that when you get larger numbers of people in the community, those numbers should be growing larger, because you have more people that are now sharing with other people. And eventually it gets to a point that gets exponential, right? So if every 10th person brings someone on, well, if you have 10 people, now you have 11. But if you have 100 people, you now have 110. If you have 1,000 people, you now have 1,100. And that number just scales with the number in the community. So I think next week or this week, I'm really going to get back onto marketing. I think in our emails, I'm really going to kind of oomph it a little bit. And that actually is a direct credit to RVP, because I have a new Rhino Bucks video that I finally scripted. I will be recording it today. I will be debuting it tomorrow on the Rhino Christmas that I'm going to get to in a second. But that page will be, by all intents and purposes, a sales page for Rhino Bucks. I completed white papers that I'm going to put in there as well, a timeline, a video, an easy one-click button, a video that I'm going to record that's going to show you how to actually do it. So all the things we should have had in the beginning. But we're still getting 7,000 email opens a day. I believe if we really, really push that all week, could we get 10, 20, 50, 100 new people? Sure. And then it's always just building better in the future in terms of processes. So let me get to Rhino Christmas. So Rhino Christmas really didn't get the excitement that I thought it would. And that's fine, right? A lot of this process has actually surprised me in a couple of ways. And not surprised, but kind of taught me stuff. Like, for instance, with Rhino Christmas, I was empowering anyone to go ahead and invite someone to receive 20 Rhino Bucks that I was going to fund and give you the credit for, right? So let's say Bill went ahead and sent 20 Rhino Bucks to his friend Todd. And the email's like, hey, Todd, this is Bill. I want to send you this 20 Rhino Bucks. Look it up. It's real money. I've been with them for a while, and I think they're doing great things. Like, whatever you want to say. But then Todd would get instructions how to actually redeem the money. He could sell it for 50 bucks right there. And not that we want anyone to do that. And that was part of my calculation. And I didn't think many people would go ahead and sell it. What I didn't expect was that such a small amount of people were even inviting anyone. Like for me, for instance, and my wife was like, Aunt, you're gonna have like 1,000 people. And I was like, all right, well, I'll figure that out. Like, we're giving away free money, right? Like that shouldn't have been weekends at my caregiver and cannot do anything work related. Okay, cool. Anyway, so it didn't really work out the way I wanted to, but I did receive plenty of emails that said, hey, Aunt, can you do, or are you doing something for Christmas that was like Black Friday? Because I really would like to participate in something like that. And I've always been reluctant to do offers. And the reason being, offers they go ahead and cannibalize your actual product if someone believes they could always just wait for an offer. Like, for instance, Express, the clothing store. Every week they send me an email. This is the last time we're going to give you $100 for buying $100 worth of stuff. And I know that it's never going to be the last time, so it doesn't motivate me to get up. But if they sent that to me only once a year, I'd say, oh my God, all right, well, let me go get clothes there, because I know that it's an offer that's going away. Yeah, so when we did the Black Friday deal, it was kind of like the time machine. Like, let's bring the coin back to 150. We'll send it all to you. It's going to be in your wallet. And if you want to sell it the next day at 2, you could, but don't, right? Like, don't be that person. If you want to sell a little bit, like, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if everyone did that, the company would go out of business. So we can't, like, don't be that person. The point being, there were some that missed out on that. You see, when you're in something like crypto, there's still a trust curve, right? That no words can go ahead and achieve. It's just simply actions and time. So and I'll get into the call. I'm probably gonna go to 10:20, so I'll be 5 more minutes. And I'm gonna lead into the call that I got on Saturday. But when you start getting to a certain point that people could say, wow, you've been doing this for 2 months, like you have a track record behind you. All right, now I'd like to get in. That is sometimes the only recipe or the only solution for some people, and that's fine. There are people that are, I've heard everything under the sun, and this is the deal of a lifetime, and blah, 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 but I'll believe it when I see it. And they're okay buying something at a higher price at a later date because they also have the comfort level of, well, I know better who they are. So when we did Black Friday, it was kind of like the time machine, right? So we will go ahead and sell it to you at $1.50 and it's worth $2. So you effectively are going back in a time machine and you would have purchased at a price like a month ago. And people were very happy with that. Be that as it may, there were still people that did not get involved in that because they're like, all right, a Black Friday deal. Or maybe their money was somewhere else on Black Friday. I don't know. So it always was on my mind that the next time we did a deal, I want to do it on just a regular day where we're not competing with anyone else's offers. So when I was reading the emails, it kind of hit me. I was like, you know what? Maybe we will do a Christmas offer, but I want everyone to know, I emailed and told everyone today, it'll be for tomorrow. I don't know the price. I really don't. I have no clue. I want to do $2. That doesn't feel very Christmassy. I want to do $1.50, but that was already done. I honestly don't know. But we will go ahead and put that in the email tomorrow. The video that I'll be recording today will be on the sales page and everything will look beautiful. I'll probably make it a Christmas page, right? And then I'll change it to a regular page for sales the rest of the week. But I just want to let everyone know that it will be tomorrow. So it gives you time to decide if you would like to participate, if you need to move things around to participate, whatever the case may be. Because right now we're at another all-time high, $2.16. Now getting to the call that I got on Saturday. So it was someone actually I've known for quite a while, since I was 18. Again, I have a lot of contacts from Wall Street, where I was. And, the colorful language of Wall Street, he calls me, he goes, hey buddy, what the F with this Rhino bucks? And he's in it, right? He goes, I got into it because I believe in you, but I never thought anything of it. He goes, I just checked it. He goes, listen, explain this to me. And I gave him a little explanation. He goes, I'd like to get involved, but I also like to help you. I think we could help each other. He goes, I don't think you know what I do these days. And so I learned when he had told me, and it's a big marketing and consulting agency. And he goes, well, one of my largest clients is one of the biggest crypto, was it influencers? I think he said two different things, like a marketing company and an influencer. And the marketing company says they have 52 million crypto followers, 12 million with wallets, 40 million as they deemed crypto curious. He goes, I'd like you to get me the white papers. I'll send it over to my people and see if they have an interest. And let's get something on the books for next week. So I spent a couple hours yesterday, because we never had white papers. And that sounds silly. I sound childish when I say stuff like that. Duh, Anthony, you should have had white papers, but we just never did. The time that I've always invested into Rhino was being right here with you. It wasn't sitting in a dark hole somewhere and reporting back on a weekly basis. It was always, hey guys, I understand we need to be doing this together. After maybe Ryan should take a year-end breath. Wait, some folks will not have spendable money until after we get past the spending done already so that might be true, but it might also be the other way around. It might also be that people have the most spending that they have right now. It might also be that people are behind on gifts and they haven't gotten gifts. And it might be that they say, okay, you know what? Let me just take this deal. And if I could go ahead and give someone something. See, I do my best not to put my to tell myself no on other people's behalves. So it could be obvious. It could be that, but it also be the other thing. Yeah, all right, everyone's coming up with ideas now. I love it. We're gonna do it tomorrow. That's happening. But so the point of the story was, so I sent over the white papers, and then he messaged me this morning, like 8 a.m. Hey, I got a response from our crypto people. I forwarded to you. Can you respond? And I did, and they had said, this might be one of the most amazing projects I'd ever seen. They go, this is something that you want to get in early because that's the best opportunity. And then they started asking me questions about Rhino Street and what's it mean to Rhino Bucks and do they share the same technology and just tech stuff like that. In which case I answered all the questions and I added a bit of a commentary as well. And it is my belief that I'll probably hear back again. I do believe maybe next steps are get on a call together or something. But we have, and again, these people probably get like a bazillion deals a day, right? Like if you're the biggest of anything, people come to you. But this time they came to us and they responded to us and they asked for a reply from us. So that's where it is. It may be something, it may be nothing, but it just kind of goes back to what I was saying in the email that we were always going to build Rhino the right way with the bigger picture in mind. It was never going to be shortcutted or short-circuited for Facebook ads here, or like, let's go pander to that demographic over there. And I got to tell you, it's been tough. It's financially tough because it's like Rhino will always, like everything goes here and that's fine. And everyone's happy about it. But my entire net worth is in coin and equity. So our intentions are totally aligned. But I want to get there. Like I want to get there. And the reason I say all that is because it's been a little bit slower than I thought this month. And that's not to say it hasn't been growing. It has been, but I want more growth. And I realized that my time could have been spent better. I think there's room for me to improve with our RVP group. I think there's room for me to improve with our marketing efforts. But the point of the story being that because we've always decided that regardless, we were always just going to continue building and continue doing it correctly, you then have people like that reach out to you and say, hey, listen, I like what you're doing. So fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. Obviously, we're not going to make a deal just to make a deal, but if we can go ahead and have a partner that has that type of following and that they can say, all right, I stamped this, it's my seal of approval, now let's go ahead and launch it together and market it and blah, blah, blah. We could very easily go from 350 right now to like 100,000 by January, right? Like that's the type of people these people are. So let's keep on doing what we're doing. This is by far the longest I've gone in quite some time. So my wife is going to kick my butt, but I have seen that no one left and I appreciate everyone. So I love you. I will see you tomorrow and Rhino Christmas tomorrow. So be there or be square, right? All right. Love everyone. Bye.